you know you've got the skills to do certain jobs, so you need to make that really clear. What you want and what you can achieve is really, really important to explain that.
Kaajel Patel is a London-based visual artist, set designer, dancer and actor. She has training in Bollywood and Indian classical dance and is in the professional troupe LPL Productions and teaches for Bollyfemi. Kaajel also works as a theatre and film set designer, teaches painting classes with an all-female startup called Brush and Bubbles, and moonlights as a cabaret performer and choreographer.
Hi Kaajel, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Can you tell me where in the world you are right now and where in the world you're from?
Yeah, sure. So I'm in London right now, and it's beautiful and sunny today. But I'm actually from the Midlands. I'm from Leicester, so bang in the middle of England.
Nice. What made you move to London?
Art, really. Growing up in Leicester, although we have such an awesome culture of like loads of different people, different kinds of food and people, there wasn't very much art and like creativity. And there wasn't, as far as I know, there's only like one gallery that ever really existed. So I really wanted to get stuck in there and see more and be part of the actual creative world. So moving to London was because of university and also how much art there was here. I went to St Martin's for my foundation, fine art, and then I went to Wimbledon College of Art for my actual degree, BA painting. Fine art, I'm kind of lucky that it was kind of broad in that sense. I was interested in lots of things and I could apply to lots of things, and I was, just I felt stimulated by a lot of stuff. So now I perform regularly, so I'm a dancer. So I do Bollywood dancing and Indian classical dancing, and I do that all over London. And I'm part of a group, and we perform outside of London as well. I also studied some set design, which is what led to me doing lots of set design work. So I do a lot of work with like community projects and like little theatre projects. And it's a whole bunch of variety of different ways of doing set design. I do little workshops for schools as well. And I teach painting, so with a company called Brush and Bubbles. I did Kathak from a really young age. So I think I was like 8 years old when I started Kathak, and it was in Leicester. So in Leicester, there's quite a lot of Indian gurus that teach different forms of Indian classical dance. So there's Kathak, and I think there's some Kuchipudi, and there's some Odissi, I think, and some Bharatanatyam. So I started training there, and I also did loads of Bollywood and all different types of forms. There's, Bollywood is inspired by so many different dance forms and art forms. Yeah. I decided to stop dancing when I moved to London so I could just focus on art. So in my foundation, I was just doing art, and then I really missed movement, and then my movement sort of fed back into my art. I was dancing in my artwork pretty much, but then I really missed the kind of source of Bollywood. So I reached out to a choreographer that I just found online. Literally, like I just Googled, I think, Bollywood dance in London, and then I started dancing again in my first year of uni, and then I carried on from there, and I'm really glad I did.
For you to transition from student to performing troupe, what did you have to do?
That group that I first joined when I moved to London, she was the lead female choreographer, and I loved her work. I think that actually our training was similar, which is why when she taught choreography, I picked it up quite quickly because of the way that she was trained. Naturally, I was also trained in a similar way. So I think that's definitely one plus point for the reason why it just worked. It's like an energy thing, and sometimes you really feel it. You're like, this is gonna work. This makes sense, and it was kind of like that. With community dance, which I guess is where it began from. When I first joined the group, it was more of a community group, and then it became more of a performing group. Things happen, like as in like naturally sometimes people need to leave for like family stuff or like exams or whatever, and then other people join in, and you're just left with a group of people that really want to be there and are dedicated. And I think that's one of the things that happened with me is like I was always such a huge fan of her choreography, and I think she's a guru. I think she's amazing, and I just want to learn from her all the time. That's the toughest thing I think in London, is finding how to create those networks. It took a very, very long time. After university, I had to basically just find a job that would pay me the amount of money that I needed to make rent. And then in my spare time, I was like training myself. So I'd go to these, do you know Chisholm Hill Art Gallery in East London?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had at the time, I think they still do, this thing called Into the Wild, which was about teaching artists or creatives how to be functioning artists, and like how to look after their accounts, and like, I don't know, like get in touch with other artists and be inspired by people who are already in the industry. Doing that, and also being a part of the youth group at the Young Vic as well. I met loads of people, again, like people that are waiting to help these young artists flourish there. That was an amazing work. And there's quite a few like freelance, like creative networking events that happened in London, that they were the springboard for me really to find the people that I needed to. That was how I sort of started off working in little theatres and like doing set designy stuff with that, using my skills I had to work with their smaller productions, and then gradually like work with bigger things. And then from that work, other community projects would contact me because they've seen that I'd be doing stuff like this, and that was how I sort of started that. My painting job came from Bossy. So there's a group on Facebook called Bossy, which is just women, and it's just they just post up whenever they need a woman to do an incredible job, or like there's something going on, or there's just anything happening that all women need to know about. I think within the creative world, having a discussion with someone is the way to get in. Like, you need to be able to speak to someone and like share a story with them, and I think that's how things go, because you want to be working with people that you like and that you know. And I think that's how people in the industry get to find out about you, is when you just happen to have a conversation with them. One of the things I would say, that because like when you go to these events, it can feel very like, oh my god, like Pokemon, like you got to catch them all, you got to like get everyone, but it's kind of not the way that things like it should naturally flow. Like some theaters or like some people, it's not necessarily going to work always. Like you're not ever going to be able to have that like perfect conversation with the person that you want. You know you've got the skills to do certain jobs, so you need to make that really clear. What you want and what you can achieve is really, really important to explain that. For me, it's funny to think about a CV actually even being useful anymore, because I don't, like, of course it is useful and that like there's a list of things, but like I really think people, especially in theatre now, it's about being the right person for the job, and rather than having the credentials for it, it's about like what feels correct for the group of people that you're working with.
Yeah,
it's about like what fits naturally, and is this going to work? Can we work together as a team with that person and me, or can we not? From university, literally, I've had such a problem with monetizing my work. I just don't like the idea of it. I don't know why. I've always had a problem with it. I think it's because when I make work, I kind of make it because I love it and I want to just make the work really badly, and it's from something inside me. So when I like have to put numbers to it, it's always made me feel a bit uncomfortable. At the same time, I am now knocking on my 30s. I've mentally changed the way I think about that now, because I now think of money as a sort of respect thing for a creative. So like, if you want me to be creatively in this with my brain and my feelings and everything about me, then you have to respect that I need to also live a life, and therefore I need to be able to pay my rent, and I need to be able to do all these things. So I'm finding ways to feel okay about exchanging what I can do for money. One of the helpful things for me to, when I did realize that I am worth what I am worth, is when institutions pay you what they're supposed to. I did like an installation in their exchange floor in their new building. They paid you the right fee, and they explained like what all the hours were for and what we wanted to try and get out of it all, and all that. And that really helps when you're a creative to sort of see it broken down like that and see another institution giving you the respect that you deserve. All my jobs had gone, unfortunately. So I had my first short film was about to be made. Literally the week it began, we were prepped. We had we paid for the rooms and everything. We had these big spaces that we were going to be using for filming. Bought all the materials, all costumes ready to go, cast ready to go. Yeah, I had to be pulled. And then I had a small play that I was going to be doing in University College London Hospital. Hospital, obviously. I was waiting for that one to be cancelled. I was like, I know that's not going to happen. And the kiln projects I was working on, they all had to be pulled because obviously it's kids as well. So I have literally no work. But so many of us creatives are in a similar space, so it's frustrating, it is, but we are all kind of in this together. It has been interesting in that I've learned that actually what I do is what stimulates me. So like sometimes I want to paint, sometimes I want to dance, and sometimes I want to do this and that and that. And as you're saying, like I feel like I have almost like refined an interesting way of working, which is kind of helpful and has kept me going. So I can't say it's been like the worst time ever, because I feel like I've found things that I wouldn't have found before because I've been forced to sit in a room and work on it because there's nothing else to do. So there are good things in that sense as well. But as you're saying, like practically, I'm not getting paid to do any of this work. There's like small bits of things that like I've done a couple of Zoom like performances. So we've had like an audience on the screen and I've been performing from my room. Like I set up a little set and then there's a performance that happens, which is fun and like sweet, but it doesn't pay the rent and it doesn't pay for everything. It's been really tricky. But as I was saying before, one of my techniques is not listening to the news as much and like listening to when I really need to, and then listening to my body. Because one of the things I was saying to you before is I was dancing a lot and it was keeping me excited, and I was like giving a lot of energy to like my friends and my family through social media by doing little routines and like teaching classes. But then also you're running yourself quite ragged, like doing so much. So just doing nothing and like relaxing and drinking tea and like just being with yourself is a real positive for all this, is like just sort of calming down and slowing down. Because it's one thing that we never really get to do as freelance creatives, is like just drink tea and sit in one place and have breakfast and like just be calm. So that's the one real big plus point that this whole thing has brought to me.
Yeah.
I definitely know that I love to move my body, and that moving my body is like a healing technique to myself. So I'm going to become more serious about doing classes and giving what I know out more, so we can all benefit from moving our bodies more. Because the amount of people that I speak to on a weekly basis who took a class or just decided to move their bodies, and they explained to me how much better they feel after moving their bodies. And it really is like it releases so much endorphins in your body. It just can help release so much and make you feel so much happier from a really centered part of your body. So I really want to try and deliver that to other people more, and that's something I'm going to be doing. A lot of the reason why I put out anything at the moment right now is just to sort of keep people's hopes up, and like try and keep them inspired and happy and like feeling part and connected. So absolutely, let's just stick that up there. And then I always post on my Instagram what I'm doing and like how to stay connected and like different things that you could be a part of. So